The forest of night shadows. The forest around me whispered and sighed, like a huge living organism. Each step felt like a challenge to fate, every rustle of leaves and branch movement a harbinger of something sinister. The night descended heavily and ominously, and I felt the cold fingers of fear clutching my heart. I don't remember exactly how I got lost. The evening had begun quite innocently. My friends and I decided to spend the night in the forest, enjoying the quiet and tranquility of nature. But when the sun dipped below the horizon, the forest turned into a labyrinth of shadows and fears. I wandered away from the camp to stretch my legs and suddenly realized I was lost. At first, I tried to calm myself, telling myself I would soon find my way back. But with each step, the forest became more terrifying. It seemed like the trees were closing in, trying to capture me, and the path I was on disappeared as if it had never existed. The silence of the night was shattered by a piercing scream. It echoed through the forest, making me stop and listen. My heart pounded wildly. The scream repeated, even more terrifying and drawn out. It came from deep within the forest, and I didn't need to think long to realize I had to run in the opposite direction. I turned and ran. Branches grabbed at my clothes, my face, my hands. I stumbled over roots, barely keeping my balance. One thought spun in my head: get as far away from that scream as possible. But soon I felt that I was not running alone. Someone was following me. At first I thought it was just my imagination playing a cruel trick on me. But then, in the moonlight, I saw it, a silhouette. Tall, dark, with unnaturally long arms. It moved toward me, gliding over the ground like a shadow. "Who are you?" I shouted, but there was no answer. I ran faster, but no matter where I turned, the silhouette was always nearby, as if the darkness itself was chasing me. The forest around me grew denser, the trees thicker, and then I stumbled upon an old, abandoned house. Rushing inside, I slammed the door behind me, trying to quell my trembling. The house was dark and cold. The air was thick with the smell of damp and mold. Pieces of old furniture and debris littered the floor. I found a corner and sat, trying to catch my breath and calm down. But not even a minute passed before I heard footsteps outside the door. Whoever was chasing me hadn't given up. The steps drew closer, and I knew hiding here wasn't the best idea. I looked around for an escape and noticed a small window. Without hesitation, I climbed through it and ran on. The silhouette appeared again, now even closer. I didn't know how much longer I could run, but stopping wasn't an option. Thoughts of what it could be swirled in my mind. A ghost, a demon, or just someone's sick imagination. Suddenly, a path leading to an old cemetery emerged before me. Graves surrounded by iron crosses and ancient headstones looked eerie in the moonlight, but I had no choice. I ran down the path, hoping to find shelter among the tombs. The cemetery was deathly silent. I hid behind a large headstone, trying to catch my breath, but then I heard a quiet whisper. It seemed like the dead themselves were whispering their secrets to me. I covered my ears, but the whisper grew louder. "Leave." "Leave," the voices whispered. I turned and saw the silhouette approaching again. This time it was closer than ever. I jumped up and ran further, not knowing where the path would lead me. The forest closed around me again, and I found myself in its terrifying darkness. I ran until I stumbled upon an old bridge crossing a narrow stream. The bridge creaked and swayed under my weight, but I crossed it, hoping my pursuer would give up. But when I looked back, I saw the silhouette standing on the other side, hesitant to cross. I stopped, trying to understand what was happening. Why wasn't it coming closer? Maybe the bridge was a barrier for it. But suddenly I felt the ground trembling beneath my feet. The bridge cracked and collapsed, leaving me on the other side, surrounded by dense forest. I sat down on the ground, trying to catch my breath. The silhouette had disappeared, but I knew it wouldn't be for long. It would find another way to get to me. I needed to find a way out of this forest. The path ahead was even more difficult. I trudged through the thicket, trying to ignore the strange sounds and rustles around me. Suddenly, I noticed a light ahead. Hope flared within me, and I headed toward it. The light led me to a small clearing where a fire was burning. Around it sat a group of people. They looked tired and scared, but seeing me, they waved friendly. "Hi," said one of them. "You got lost too?" "Yes," I replied, sitting down next to them. "Something is chasing me." The people exchanged glances, and one of them, an old man with gray hair and a wrinkled face, said, "We are all here for the same reason. This forest is a trap. It lures people in and doesn't let them go. That which chases you is the guardian of the forest. He protects its secrets." A chill ran through my heart. Was there really no way out? The old man continued, "But there is one way. We must find and destroy the heart of the forest. It's an ancient tree in the center of the forest. Only then can we be freed." We decided to search for the tree. The group armed themselves with torches and knives, and we moved deeper into the forest. With each passing minute, I felt the tension rising. The forest came alive, whispering and sighing as if it knew our plan. After a few hours, we reached a huge, ancient tree. Its trunk was covered with old runes, and its roots went deep into the ground. The old man approached the tree and said, "This is it. Get ready." But before we could do anything, the silhouette emerged from the shadows. Now it was more menacing, its eyes glowing with a red fire. It raised its hand, and the trees around us began to move as if they were alive. The fight was desperate. We battled shadows and living trees, trying to reach the heart of the tree. I grabbed a knife and began hacking at the roots, hoping it would weaken the forest's power. The others were also fighting, but the forest was a formidable opponent. At one point, I managed to reach the center of the tree, where its heart was pulsating. I raised the knife and, gathering all my strength, plunged it into the throbbing mass. The forest shook, letting out a piercing scream. The silhouette disappeared, and the trees became still. We emerged from the forest at dawn. The forest had lost its sinister power, and we felt free. But the fear remained. We knew that this forest held many secrets and horrors best left undisturbed. And every time I recalled that night, a chill ran through me, reminding me that in the darkness of the forest, one can encounter something best left alone. The story should have ended there, but one last event haunts me. The day after we escaped the forest, I returned home and began unpacking my things. Among them, I found a small, old book one had never seen before. Its cover bore the same runes as the tree. Inside, I found a note. "The forest does not let go of its victims. You have become a part of it." Since then, every night I dream of that forest, and I feel its shadows creeping closer to me.